The lid had broken open, revealing the folded paper stars inside. There were 1,001 of them, each one I had made back when I secretly loved him, each carrying a bit of affection I never dared to speak aloud. I picked up the cracked jar, then tossed it along with the other broken gifts into the trash bin nearby. Devon's brows furrowed instantly, but I just smiled faintly. You're right, Mr. Woodford. Things that aren't worth anything should be thrown away when they're dirty or broken. That included my foolish, misplaced feelings. Ignoring the sudden darkness that crossed his face, I lowered my head and pulled out the resignation letter from my bag. Mr. Woodford, this is my... Before I could finish, his phone rang. Melissa Nicholson's voice came through clearly in the quiet storage room. Dev, it's raining. Come pick me up. The emotions on his face vanished in an instant. He did not even glance at the document in my hand and signed his name at the bottom. Take a taxi home. Text me when you get there. By the time Devon drove off, the rain became a downpour. The villa sat halfway up the mountain, so there was no way to hail a taxi. So I opened my umbrella and started walking downhill against the wind. Suddenly, I slipped. Pain shot through my knees and elbows as I hit the ground hard. Ignoring the sting, I clutched my bag tightly. It held my resignation letter. If that got wet, I would have to see him again, and I did not want that. Just then, a familiar black luxury car came speeding from afar. It did not slow down as it passed. Water splashed all over me, soaking me completely. Through the passenger side window, I caught a glimpse. It was Melissa, perfectly made up, sitting beside Devon, who smiled at her tenderly. My jaw clenched. Pressing my palm to the cold, wet ground, I forced myself to stand. Pain seared through my knees, but I straightened my back and walked away in the opposite direction of the car. The resignation paperwork only needed 3 days to process. On the last day, I was in the office, wrapping up my final handover. My phone lit up with a message from Devon. Bring in a cup of hot honey water. Technically, I was still his assistant, so I had to finish my duties. I made the drink, then knocked on his office door. As soon as I entered, I froze. Melissa was lying on the couch, her head resting on Devon's lap. He was gently massaging her lower abdomen. In these 4 years with him, when I felt the cramps during my period, I would curl up at my desk, barely able to straighten my back. All he ever did was toss me a box of painkillers. Don't let it affect your work. That was all he said, and coldly at that. My old self, the pathetic self, foolishly fell for that subterranean act. Keeping my expression neutral, I walked past them and set the cup on his desk. Mr. Woodford, your hot honey water is here. I turned to leave, but Melissa suddenly stood up. Wait. Her eyes studied me. You're Marvin Huckabee's sister? Before I could answer, her hand had swung across my face. My ear buzzed, my cheek instantly burning and swelling. Devon shot to his feet, startled. Mel, what are you doing? Her eyes reddened, tears welling as she pointed at me and turned to him. She's from the Huckabee family in Jernell. She could have lived like a princess, but instead she came to you as an assistant. And you're telling me she doesn't like you? The air froze. Devon's gaze flickered across my face, then he turned, gently pulling Melissa into his arms, wiping away her tears. His voice was soft, tinged with helplessness and unmistakable affection. Even if she does like me, it's all one-sided. Because in my heart, there's only room for you. A flash of triumph crossed Melissa's face as she nestled into Devon's arms, her voice sweet and coy. Then fire her. I don't ever want to see her again. Devon's brows tightened almost imperceptibly, a faint hesitation flickering in his eyes. Seeing that, Melissa picked up the cup of hot honey water on the desk, and in the very next second, she screamed as she flung it toward me. Ah, Dev, it's hot! Her scream was sharp enough to pierce through the air. As she clutched her reddened fingertips, Devon's face instantly darkened. His cold gaze locked on me, completely ignoring the angry burns spreading across my bare arm. Jennifer, you've been with me for 4 years, and you can't even handle something this simple? Were you targeting Mel on purpose? Before I could explain, he turned to call his secretary in. Ms. Lane, Ms. Huckabee made a serious mistake. Dock her full month salary and bonus. Also, announce her error publicly in next week's company meeting. Nancy Lane shot me a quick, uneasy glance before speaking softly. But Mr. Woodford, Mrs. Huckabee has already resigned. The moment those words left her mouth, Melissa suddenly gasped and cried out in pain. Dev, since you're so eager to defend your precious assistant, I'll just leave. Forever.